So you guys all know what happened last week. I was very upset for a few reasons. I was upset personally because I was like, if this ever happens to my team, I will live it. So I was upset in advance because I know like the way Arsenal is set up, this kind of thing can happen to us. What happened to Liverpool? And what I'm talking about is the offside. I'm not talking about the calls, the yellow cards, red cards. I'm talking about the offside goal that was called off.
Okay.
And, we heard. Did you guys hear the audio? Anyone hear the audio?
I heard the audio.
Yeah, yeah.
So you guys heard it was just like confusion all around. The guy in the VAR booth was like, what did he say? He goes, it's good. Something like that. Goes good.
Check complete. Check complete.
Check complete. And then they were like, check complete. He was like, yeah, it's good. And they're like,
Yeah, but someone read that someone actually, so they're making an excuse. Sorry about that. Just a question what he said. Someone said decision was goal disallowed. Someone said check complete.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he said check
So-
complete. He said decision was goal disallowed. And he was like,
Yeah.
well, it's good. And then they were like, oh, the play has started. So they couldn't. And I guess I knew that. I've always known that once the play starts, you don't usually pull anything back. But like,
Yeah, don't pull it back yet.
so is that like law?
Yeah. Well, it is, but there are two ways to approach it. So the first thing to notice is the graphic said they were checking for offside. So they were checking for offside. That's what the graphic said. So this is where you start wondering why these guys are actually watching the game. Because out of the 4 people there, or 3 people involved, the only person that noticed that the game actually started was the person that was not even the referee. It was the VAR operator, the guy that's just operating, technology guy. He's the one that now said, guys, can you say this? Are you okay with this? The game has just started. And the officials are like, no, it's fine. No, nothing's happening. And they were so arrogant about it. So he repeated it. He said, are you fine with this? He's not the referee, mind you. The guys who are the referees actually did not notice that the game. That shows they were not even watching the game. So then the manager, the VAR operator, was now ringing them. He was panicking. He was now ringing the guys in the VAR room and said, delay the game. And at that point, Liverpool had a throw-in. So at that point, the referee could have stopped the game and then gone back.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. So at that point, then your man, the Darren England, the VAR for the game, waited until the throwing got back into the pitch. Then he now said, oh, I can't do anything. The game has been started. So it was so crazy that thing. But just to back you up, Eejay, you said you'd be angry if this had happened to us now. Arsenal had this similar situation where last season against Brentford, they drew the offside line on the wrong person.
Yes.
That happened to us now last season. Yeah. So this beggars belief, and this shows that, because we forced them to release the audio, which some people were angry with, like, why would Liverpool just start shouting that they should release the audio? That's why we knew about this. Imagine all the other ones we've not even heard about that would have happened that we didn't even know about, Yeah. So for me, basically, I just think it's good. Like, there's going to be reforms now. They said, okay, they're going to, like Eejay, you rightly said, the communication was not clear. Yeah, like that. They didn't say, oh, each of us just say goal is onside. Why are you saying check complete? That's vague.
Yeah, the terminology has to change. Use the right term so that it's consistent communication.
Exactly. This thing is not rocket science. It's simple English. People, do you know why it's easy for them not to change? Because we are also tribalistic. That's so, like, we all want to defend our team. So we always remember what happened to our team. So that's why they don't change so easily. Reform won't happen because everybody is fighting their own corner. But like when Liverpool talk, Man United fans will say, this happened to us too. Chelsea will talk. West Ham fans say this happened. Imagine Spurs were talking. Spurs were like, oh, you guys scored a penalty in the Champions League final. Should we replay that game? That's why we're not united. Everybody's just looking out for themselves. We're all fighting for ourselves, That's why there won't be any real change. All the teams are always believing the conspiracy is against us. But all of us are suffering it. Look, I have it. 10 clubs had apologies. 10.
But I'll say this though, we wanted a better officiating. That's why we asked for VR, and we were happy when he came, right?
Yeah.
And now the VR is here, it's causing more controversy even than the regular referee. So I think we have to be careful when it comes to Premier League is one of a very big league and the best league in the world. I'll be slow to implementing these new technologies if they're not tested in the lower league, right? And I think the new thing that you said we should add, they should make sure they test it well. because
They
VAR
use
is
it in the
supposed to
World Cup.
perfect.
They use it in the World Cup, Funsho.
Okay, I know.
They
Okay, they
use
use
it
the
in the
World Cup
World
now.
Cup. When people start thinking of all these conspiracy theories, they'll be like, "Oh, this guy's going to take money from the Sheik and now started doing nonsense against Arsenal." Why would you stop that kind of conflict of interest? Why would you let your referees
Paid off for what he did. He looked.
brown envelope?
He literally stood there and was like, no. I'm like, why are you saying no? That's a yellow card.
Yeah.
By what law are you judging?
And then another problem is, couldn't VAR to have pulled that back too?
They don't pull back for yellow cards. They don't pull back for yellow cards. Yeah, that's another stupid rule. That's another stupid rule. They don't pull back for yellow cards.
They don't pull back for yellow card. They don't pull back for no decision. If decision is there, they just verify like
so
red card or whatever.
Because man, I don't know, man.
So if the ref actually don't make any calls, I don't think VAR can pull it back.
They can.
They can.
If it doesn't make any call, if there's no call at all.
Yeah. If they think it's a red card offense, not if they think it's a yellow card offense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that second one, that Kovacic went in on was it right? Yeah, that would have been maybe a bookable offense, so they won't go to that. That's why the rule is messed up, because why would you say VAR again?
But Eejay, let me remind you though, right? In that instance, though, wouldn't that be also checking for a red card based on he's already on a yellow?
Exactly.
That's why the rule is stupid. That's why the rule is stupid, because they said we don't check for yellow cards. So in that case, they should have checked for that and said, "Oh, guy, look, that's the second yellow card. That should be a red card." But they'll say, "Oh, no, they're not supposed to interfere in yellow card offenses." It doesn't make sense. They don't use common sense.
Yeah,
the system is warped.
I came in with no expectation, but I zero. But I was side with my team. I never bet against Arsenal. That's one thing I'll never do. Even when I disagree, I think we're not a better match. Because I like to enjoy the game. So with that said, the game started. I was impressed. A few moments in, a few wrong steps by Rhea, and it's made me question: do we really need this change at all? Even though we changed things, but overall, I'm very impressed. I think, and I mentioned it early in the season, even on the group, that I think Manchester City can be beaten this season than it ever appeared. To me, the way they started the season, I've watched them. I went to a couple of their games actually in person out here in Houston, Texas. I think they're getting leaner and leaner. Maybe it's just what else are they playing for, right? They've won everything last season except for the Invincible trophy that Arsenal currently have. So overall, I think Arsenal won the game. I'm not going to say City lost. You have a player like Haaland that can score from anywhere, and he was silenced through the whole game, right? You have very experienced players alongside him, but I'm very disappointed with Pep. I think it was disrespectful to play that 18-year-old against Arsenal. When the game started, I said, I hope he regretted. I hope he regretted. Yeah, that Lewis.
Okay.
18-year-old, he does that a lot. When he play us, he throw that one guy in there to make sure to kind of shake our confidence and make us get scared, when things happen. Although the guy played well, I think that guy being in a matchup kind of showed their weakness. And if you indisciplined here and there, I'll had more later in the game. But I think kudos to Mikel. I'm finally on board since last season.
Okay.
Last season, I was on board last season.
Okay. All right, Henry, let's go.
I pretty much agree with most of Funsho's analysis. I think it was a very interesting game. I've heard, as a matter of fact, in another group chat that I heard a lot of football fans say they feel like the game was a boring game. I didn't think it was boring. I think that's just down to the fact that they didn't see as much firepower, like goals, attempts. But that to me doesn't always dictate or tell the full story of the game, right? There are intricacies that was happening in that midfield that, if you're an avid lover of soccer, you would see that the game wasn't as easy as it looked, right? It was a very, they had spells where they had, significant control, and, they will have some intricacies where Silva will drop back. Sometimes you go to the wing and try to sort of confuse Arsenal. But Arsenal were able to hold their own. I think the difference showed a little bit today in the quality of the players. I think definitely If someone like De Bruyne was there, this game becomes completely different. So on one end, so you could say, well, if Martinelli or if Saka had also started, it's also a different Arsenal, you see. But we also know the type of quality De Bruyne as a player brings forth. For them, Rodri, huge, 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 right? So they're key players too that were out for them. But sometimes, hey, you can only play the team that is in front of you. I thought Arsenal gave a good account of themselves. It's the first time I think City has lost back-to-back games in a long time. I think we held them to the least amount of shots in a game. I think like four. Those are things that you typically don't see with any Pep associated team. So we get a good account of ourselves today. Let me also mention this. I'm always a fair person when it comes to analyzing Arsenal. Today was the first day where that whole experiment with party playing in the right kind of worked. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
shoot, look at God,
Those
So hey,
passes were coming. Those passes were coming.
yeah, so it's funny how I guess sometimes we as fans and also how we analyze games, sometimes we don't see what these coaches see, but for some reason that there were spells where you could see when Partey talked into that right, and he
Yeah.
sort of helped elevate the pressure, and then he kind of pushed City backwards a little bit, right? So he made them be a little bit more defensive. So I mean, I'm proud of the boys today. Whatever scoreline, I'm proud of it. So that's what I have to say.
Yeah, I didn't think we would win. I was one of those that I was definitely we're going to lose. I was like 1-4. At first I said 4-1, but I was like, oh, we're at home. And that's just because it's like what do you call it? PTSD from past
From
seasons.
Mhm.
But when you said Funsho, when you said you don't bet against the team, I don't bet with money against my team. But if I'm making predictions, I will call. This is the only team I say we will lose to. Yeah, so I was very, very happy to see us win. After the first half, after we went in with goalless, which apparently we've
Mhm.
not done before. Like we usually go down a goal against City. They said this was the first time in a while. That was also a big deal. Like those little things were big deals until at the end where we got that goal. And you guys said it. Partey to Tomiyasu to who else? Havertz up front. We had
Yeah,
Havertz,
yeah.
which I was like, just keep him up front and keep him away from the midfield. And I'll be happy with it. So him up front, and then he, headed the ball down, and Martinelli got that goal, deflected but fine. It was important for us to win, and I say it in my match reaction. You guys will see it later, but I think this win is pretty much the only thing we didn't do last season was beat City, beat every other team.
That's it.
Yeah, at least once between last season and the
And
season we've beaten every other team. Some teams twice, some teams one time. Except for Southampton, I don't think we beat them at all last season. Anyway, they're not here to cause those problems. But
yeah, exactly.
yeah. So it was the next step. Like, and then when we can start doing things like this, then we can start talking.